asked this question a lot from many of you, and I think it's understandable because of the designer bag collection that I've built. Now, I don't have a room of bags, but I do have a decent shelf where they live in my wardrobe. And the most frequently asked questions that I receive are 1, how do you justify a bag purchase? And 2, what are the questions that you ask yourself before you buy a bag? And I totally get where these are coming from. Bags are really expensive, money doesn't grow on trees, and one bag represents many, many hours of your hard work. Now, I bought my first designer bag back when I was still studying at university. I was working part-time and earning extra money from retail and also working as a piano teacher. And so it's been 20 years, oh my gosh, I sound really old, of being really, really into designer bags. And I have some experience of wanting all of the pretty expensive things, not being able to afford them, and working and saving really hard to get in on the action. Before I bought my first designer bag, which was the Miu Miu bow bag, which I absolutely loved, I remember that was some intense deliberation. And even then, I was coming up with some questions to ask myself just to ensure that the purchase would be as successful as possible. Now, over the years, particularly in my 20s, I didn't always get it right. I would buy bags that didn't necessarily align with my lifestyle, or bags that just weren't comfortable and I wasn't reaching for them as much. And so they were some costly mistakes, but I can sit back now, reflect on all that lived experience, and I can confidently say that I have it down. I've let you in on the fact that I write a heap of pro-con lists beforehand, that I pop in and try things over and over and over again before I pull the trigger, and I always try and shop pre-loved where I can. And so because there are a lot of you out there that are like me, that deliberate really hard before making an expensive purchase, here are the 8 questions that I always ask myself and that you should always ask yourself before investing in a designer bag. Let's kick off with the first question, and that is, what is your budget for this purchase? I think it's really important to have a clear understanding of how much you're willing to spend before you start delving into the research and start shopping around. Personally, for me, brands like Hermes are just out of the question. I think the price tags are way too prohibitive, both new and pre-loved, but also it doesn't necessarily align with my personal style anyway, and so it makes it quite easy. I don't know much about the brand, haven't done too much research into it, but the price tags that I hear being thrown around are in the tens of thousands of dollars, and that's just insane. That is how much my car is worth, and so that's just a no for me. But also brands like Chanel. I did have a few Chanel bags in my collection back in the day, which I have since let go of and passed on. I've still hung on to the classic flap though. I think that that's just so iconic and I can't see myself ever parting ways with it. But if it got to this point and I didn't have the classic flap in my collection today, I don't know whether I would consider buying it in today's prices. I just think that it's just a little bit too much. My salary isn't increasing at the same rate as the Chanel bag price increases. And so I think first and foremost, consider your budget. Now on to the second question that you should ask yourself, and that is, what are your personal style preferences? This is where you should consider the handbags that you typically use and the styles that you are comfortable wearing. And so using the example of me, because it's here, for non-work purposes, nothing beats the ease of a crossbody, particularly when it's on the weekend and I'm running after the kids. But for work, it just has to be comfortable and at least easy to carry. I carry a lot with me to and from the office, and I just want to make sure that the bag that I take with me is practical and at least easy to use. Now, in terms of my personal style, it has evolved over the last 3 years. Back in the day, I used to be a lot dressier. I used to have a lot more time in the morning to get ready, whereas nowadays, I still do put in a bit of effort, but it is just a lot more relaxed nowadays. And so how does that translate on the bag scale, I hear you ask? Well, it just means that I want the bag that I buy to match my vibe, my personal style vibe. Right now, I want to stop filming, switch off the camera, hop on a train, go into the city, go to the Loewe boutique and buy myself the Loewe puzzle bag in small, in tan. But unfortunately, sensible and rational Virginia is preventing the emotional Virginia from going out and doing that. But to me, that bag is just the bee's knees. Completely aligns with my personal style. Question number 3 is, what is the intended use of the bag? Is it going to be a daily accessory? Is it for a special occasion? Is it going to be something that you take with you to and from work? Is it going to be a weekend bag? All of these are important considerations to determine whether the style of the bag that you're looking at or the size is ultimately going to be suitable and will be a worthwhile investment. Question number 4. How often are you intending on using the bag? If you plan on using the bag frequently, then it would definitely be worthwhile investing in something that is more durable and high quality and hard wearing. Personally, if I'm going to be spending a lot of money on a bag, then I want to make sure that I'm getting as much bang for buck as possible. I want to get that cost per wear down. And so a lot of the designer bags that I have in my collection are ones that I can use for work, ones that I always use frequently. A lot of them are from Celine and a lot of them are leather. I don't want to have to be too precious with them. I don't want them to get nasty after a year. And so a lot of the bags that I have are just for that purpose, for the everyday, as opposed to special occasion bags or clutches. That's not where I typically spend my money for designer bags. If you're familiar with a lot of the bags in my collection, I have a fair few black handbags as well, just knowing that I can use them frequently, that they just match easily with a lot of the items in my wardrobe. I know that they're safe purchases to make, but it gives me a lot of satisfaction knowing that I don't run into any sort of styling issues because the bags just kind of go with everything. Question number 5. How important is the brand name to you? Some people place higher value on a brand than others, and so before you make a purchase, you should consider whether you are purchasing the handbag for the designer or for the style and the quality. Now, there are some people out there that place higher value on a brand than others, and while that shouldn't be too problematic, there is a potential trap there that you're just buying a bag because it's got the designer label on it rather than for practical purposes, and it will end up not being the most successful purchase for you. And so before making a purchase, you should consider whether you're buying the bag because of the designer label or whether you like the style and the quality of the bag. The 6th question you should ask is the handbag too trendy? Now, I don't think that there's anything wrong with investing in trend fashion, particularly when it comes to clothing, but when it comes to designer bags that are really expensive, I think that there's a lot more consideration that needs to be put into the decision-making process. And so you should certainly factor into your decision-making whether something is too fashionable or whether it is in fact timeless and can be worn for years to come. Now, the next question that you should ask yourself is, what is the brand's reputation and what is their customer satisfaction like? There are some brands that get worse raps than others because of their poor customer service. And then on the flip side, there are some that have some really good after-sales services. Now, just using the example of Loewe again, because it is just currently on my mind. If I were to buy the puzzle bag in their boutique, they offer a lifetime maintenance service for the leather. So if I were to stain the leather or if I wanted it just to be repolished and reconditioned, then I could take it back to the store and they would do it at no cost, which to me is just amazing because there is no other designer brand that I have purchased from that has offered that after sales service. And so I think that's incredible. Also, I think the brand has a stellar reputation. They've been around for 150 years. And so in terms of the answer to that question, they completely tick that box. But there are other designer labels where you probably have to tread a little bit carefully about poor customer service. I won't name names now. And also reputation, which I'll let you sort of delve into your own research depending on whatever bag it is that you are after. Because it would suck for you to buy a bag, research about their reputation, and then realize that it's just not all that great, and then it will make you fall out of love with your bag when really it should be all about the feels. You should be completely positive about it. And the last question that you should ask yourself is, what is the resale value of the bag? I was a bit hesitant to put this one in because I don't think that you should be buying a bag in order to resell it. I think that if that's your purpose, then this whole video probably doesn't apply to you at all. But I can't deny the fact that it does form part of my decision-making process. Knowing that a bag that you've bought hasn't lost too much of its value is really, really satisfying. It just adds to the positive feels of the bag. And so, yes, I do factor in resale value. And I think it also adds to sort of being vindicated that you made the right decision with buying a bag, particularly if people want to get their hot little hands on it on the pre-loved market. It's a consideration, not a primary consideration, but one of the considerations that I do factor in when I'm about to buy a bag. And so I hope you found me letting you in on my thought process to be helpful. Now, if you like this video, then be sure to hit that thumbs up button so that I know that you did, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my future videos. I will see you guys in my next video, which, who knows, might be a Loewe puzzle bag unboxing. Probably not. Maybe one day. I hope that it happens this year at least. Anyway, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!